Hey, what's up guys, it's Red here with a theory video on the true identities of Pochita and Fake Saw Man. But first, if you have any questions or you want to add anything, leave it in the comments below. Thank you for over 900 subs. Well, I'm like 10 away from 1k, but you know, I really appreciate it. And if I'm already at 1k by the time you're watching this, make sure to subscribe, so that you could help me reach 2k and many more subs. This video is essentially a combination of these two videos, but with some extra stuff that I didn't include in them. Oh, I'm gonna add a warning just to be safe. This video isn't a replacement for the official series, so go read it legally, and this video is gonna be as fair use as possible, so any text from the panels will be removed just to be safe. I'm doing this since my Death Devil video got taken down, but it might be up in a couple days if everything goes fine, or, you know, never. But I did do an edited re-upload, so go watch it. Anyways, enough yapping, let's get on to it. Pochita theories. Yup, I'm gonna start with Pochita's identity, since this is somewhat basic and not as complicated as the enigma that is Fake Saw. Actually, my first Chainsaw Man theory was actually all about Pochita's identities, so go check it out if you want to, cause this video will include everything I talked about and some extra stuff. Anyways, the first and most simple possibility is that Pochita is just the Chainsaw Devil. I mean, it's the basic answer, and after the whole people turning into trees after living a long time that we found out about from aging, I guess this identity makes sense. Kinda. I mean, sometimes the most obvious answer is the correct one, but I personally believe that Pochita's identity is different. Firstly, let me get into some possible facts as to why I believe Pochita is a different devil. Well, simply put, his abilities just don't really make sense when it comes to the fear of chainsaws. Like seriously, how do chainsaws connect to the ability to erase concepts / devils from existence? Another reason is the fact that Pochita is always just called Chainsaw Man. Everyone uses it, or sometimes they just use Chainsaw or Lord Chainsaw. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Pochita is like only called the Chainsaw Devil like once or twice. And even then, it's by people who don't know Pochita's true nature. All the 4 horsemen call Pochita Chainsaw Man. Well, technically the real family hasn't, but she definitely will call Pochita Chainsaw Man. Even Primal Devils call Pochita Chainsaw Man, when they literally don't have to call him that. Like the Aging Devil stopped time and correctly called Yoru the War Devil, yet he's still called Pochita Chainsaw Man. There was no real reason to call him that since time was stopped, so Aging didn't need to hide anything. And I think a Primal Devil should just call Pochita the Chainsaw Devil if Pochita was really just the Chainsaw Devil. I think that sometime soon it's going to be explained why they don't call Pochita by his devil name. And they'll probably reveal what devil he really is. So probably Death will talk to Denji and also Yoru, and there will be a cliffhanger before Pochita's devil name gets revealed. Anyways, there's like a bunch of possibilities of what devils Pochita could be, so I'll talk about some. Like Pochita being the birth devil. It makes sense as chainsaws were originally created to help in childbirth, so if Pochita is the birth devil, then it would make sense as to why Pochita uses chainsaws. Pochita's other design elements help with this, since he has like a umbilical cord scarf. It's a lot more prominent and noticeable when Denji begins his transformation into the Black Chainsaw Man. Pochita's abilities to eat devils and erase them from existence can be seen as a type of unbirthing. So it's not really too far-fetched. However, I have another theory that will use these points in its favor as well, but I'll be talking about it last. As the next theory is, Pochita is actually the Devil Devil. This one is pretty loose, but won't it be cool? Like, Pochita is feared and revered by devils because Pochita is the devil. Pochita erasing devils could be explained as the fact that they all exist because of him, even though the Devil Devil will exist because devils existed first. So it's kind of like a paradox. So it's like a what came first, the chicken or the egg situation. So if Pochita was the Devil Devil, then that would mean that Pochita started to exist since the first devils existed as a concept. So if Pochita was the Devil Devil, so that would technically mean that the first devil that existed was also tied with Pochita. Anyways, another theory is that Pochita is a concept that doesn't exist in our world. Canonically, there have been devils in Chainsaw Man that were erased, that their concepts were just not real in our world. Like the SOA and Arnolone syndrome devils. So Pochita could be something that we as the readers just don't know. Like Pochita could be another conclusion to life aside from death, like the other 4 conclusions he consumed before the events of the series. Though this theory about Pochita being a concept that doesn't exist goes into my next theory, as it could be that Pochita is the devil. Yep, Pochita is the devil. P.S. I'll be using the YHVH sensor thing from SMT4 Apocalypse cause it sounds cool. Anyways, what I mean by that is that Pochita is a devil without a name, or at least a true devil name, as Pochita's concept has been erased. The reason why everyone, even primal devils, call Pochita Chainsaw Man is because his devil name got erased. I know this might not make sense, but my reasoning is that it's a quirk of Pochita's abilities of erasing devils. I mean, there have been exceptions and oddities. Well, more like one exception, as the devil that gave human devil hybrids their name was consumed by Pochita. Yet, human devil hybrids still exist, and there have been ones created even after Pochita consumed that devil. I know this because Katana Man, aka the GOAT, became a hybrid way after Pochita met Denji in the human world. So, if a devil can be erased and its name disappears yet the concept still exists, the inverse should totally be possible. Like the concept and the name could be erased yet the devil still exists. And don't give me this, it's impossible or it doesn't make sense. It's fiction. You shouldn't have any reason to doubt that Pochita being a devil whose concept doesn't exist is unrealistic when the whole situation is unrealistic. Pochita being the devil could totally work due to his abilities of erasure. And again, it could explain why Pochita is called Chainsaw Man instead of by his devil name. Plus, if the devil's concept was instantly erased when Pochita first existed, that could explain why devils don't remember Pochita's true name. Well, maybe aside from the primals or just the death devil. So, Pochita being the devil could be super awesome. And in the manga, the way they could reveal this is by having the true name be gibberish, like how the Darkness Devil talks. And in the anime, it could be like how YHVH is called in SMT4 Apocalypse, with how his name is censored with the noise I've been using. Well, who knows? Cause I have my favorite theory up for last, as Pochita could be the life or living devil. I think aside from the stuff I brought up with the birth devil theory, which can just be applied to this theory since chainsaws were made to help with births, so they were technically created to bring new life into this world. So the use of chainsaws is applicable, and the umbilical cord is also used to sustain new life. So yeah, aside from that, Pochita is quote unquote good. And good in devil doesn't mean that it's good in human, but overall Pochita is quote unquote a good devil. Also, all the times Pochita has emerged from Denji was when Denji lost his will to live, and Pochita tried to get Denji to want to live again. Like in part 1, Denji lost his found family and gave up. So, when Pochita re-emerged, he tried to do all the things Denji wanted in life, like eating food like a fresh hamburger to going on a date with a pretty girl. In part 2, Denji lost his found family again, and the girl he thought he loved used him and she said she didn't love him. But then again, that was Yoru, and I'm not gonna get into all that today. Anyways, Pochita tried to get Denji to get his will to live again. Pochita purposefully ate devils that would help Denji remember things when Pochita threw them up again. Like the Snow Devil reminding Denji of Power and Aki, like when they went to a trip to Hokkaido together and it was all snowy. And the Bitter Devil reminding Denji of Reze since the taste of coffee is bitter. And also the bitter feelings of losing someone he loved also helped him remember the pets and Nayuta. And after all that, Denji regains his will to live and keeps moving forward even after losing everything. Pochita wants Denji to live, to become Fire Punch. To become Chainsaw Man. Pochita being the life or living devil could also fit thematically, like, hello, life is the perfect foil to death. Pochita also ate 4 other conclusions of life aside from death. It would also give a reason as to why all the horsemen think that Chainsaw Man is their win con against death, since he would be a perfect counter against death. But that is not all. The most recent chapter, 199, the Death Devil herself does something similar to Pochita. While she doesn't need to, Death consumes devils and regurgitates them back up as pawns. It's like the inverse of Pochita. Pochita consumes devils and they disappear, while Death consumes devils and they come back to life as her pawns. It's also like the opposite of their namesake. Well, if Pochita is the life/living devil, as Death brings back to life those she killed, while Pochita, if he is the life or living devil, completely erases the devils he consumes. Like, come on. Most, if not all of Fujimoto's works are about living. Some examples are Fire Punch, as it literally punches the readers in the face all with the live stuff that is said to Agni. Look Back is about continuing to live even after the loss of someone important, and that death is sudden and unexpected. Chainsaw Man carries those themes of continuing to live even after all the terrible stuff and losses that have happened. You can look back, but you gotta keep moving forward. which is why I think Pochita is the life/living devil. It fits so well thematically that it's the one theory that I believe will be fully true. And like I said, the reveal will be a part of a cliffhanger, like Death or Yoru or even the real family tell Denji and Asa the truth. They say Pochita isn't the Chainsaw Devil, which by the way has been questioned in the series by Barim at the sushi place. And right when the reveal will happen, it will be continued in the next chapter. Another piece of evidence is that Pochita fully revived Power and made her into the complete Blood Devil. Like, Pochita talked to Power while she was literally just blood inside of Denji's system, and Pochita told Power to consume some of his body so that she could regenerate. Like, come on. Pochita gave Power new life just by consuming some of Pochita. Plus, we know that if a weaker devil eats a piece of a stronger devil, the weaker devil gets a power boost. Not to mention that that boost will be related to the devil's true identity. Like how the doll devil was given a piece of darkness and she was able to use some of darkness's abilities to regenerate during the dark. And coming back to Power, how does reviving someone not help this theory out? This is also not mentioning the fact that Pochita is famous for always coming back. Like, the Four Horsemen talk about how Pochita is like William Afton with the way he always comes back. No matter how beaten Pochita is, he always came back and stood up to fight again. Pochita has such strong regeneration that it rivals Primal Devils. Like, I know Yoru's gun goddess bullet incapacitated Pochita, but he still didn't die. Plus, we've never been told that Pochita has ever died. Just beaten up and regenerating back again. So I think that Pochita being the life/living devil is very possible, if you account for everything Pochita has done or been stated to do. So yeah, I guess it's time to talk about Fake Saw. Fake Saw Man theories. Well, this one is a lot more complicated. There's like 6 or so different / possibly different Fake Saw Men. But in reality, only 3, which could also be just 2 by the way, are important enough to theorize about. But because I want to be a bit thorough, I will talk about them all. Firstly, there's the pseudo chainsaw people. You know, the Chainsaw Man church members that were transformed into lobotomized chainsaw people. These are technically fake Chainsaw Men, but we already know what they are, as they were Chainsaw Man church members who were contracted with the Fire Devil, who they thought was a Justice Devil by the way. They were activated all around the globe, or at least in some countries outside of Japan. But now they aren't really a problem or talked about. Actually, I believe the reason is because it's social commentary about how we quickly move on from one event, even if it's a terrible one, as something new captures our attention and we grow numb to it as it becomes our new normal. Anyways, the next 2 fake Chainsaw Men are kinda weird, like this guy. I'll call him Nanashi. Not only is it an SMT4 Apocalypse reference, Nanashi also means no name / nameless. So he's totally there and claimed that he was Chainsaw Man, so that technically makes him a fake Saw. But he probably doesn't matter or is the most recent fake Saw. Anyways, all we know about him is that he claimed to be Chainsaw Man and was with the Chainsaw Man Church. And that's all we know, since he really only appeared in one panel. Technically there were more, but they were basically the same image on the TV screen. Next up is Haruka. Yeah, I'm putting him on here because, again, people are thinking that he could be the most recent fake Saw, but he's still in public safety custody, so yeah. Plus, I think Haruka is just a normal guy. Well, he's a huge Chainsaw Man dick rider, but he's still just a normal guy. But the next 3, or maybe 2, are the real important ones. Firstly, it's the fake Saw who killed Yuko. Yeah, we only see his shadow in his arm, but there is something that we could assume, and it's that this fake Saw doesn't look like Denji, since Yuko said Chainsaw Man with a question mark. And it does make sense since Yuko did see the real Chainsaw Man back at school. Not to mention that she read the mind of Denji, and she was probably reading the mind of this fake Saw Man. Which meant that Yuko probably was confused as to why fake Saw Man thought differently from Denji if they were supposed to be the same person. And obviously we know that it's not Denji since he was asleep at the time fake Saw killed Yuko. Usually I would theorize on who this might be, but I'll save that for the next Chainsaw Man because these 2 could be the same person. As this fake Saw Man is the one who saved Asa and Denji from the Falling Devil. But hey, this guy has 2 panels instead of 1 and actually talks. But we don't really see anything special from him, and Asa is basically the only one who acknowledged him when she said 2 Chainsaw Mans. Yeah, she said mans and not men, but whatever. What we do know about this one is that for some reason he knew Asa and Denji had to run away from the devils, or devil in this case, who was the real Justice Devil, who were trying to eat Asa, and he told them to evade them until sunrise. Which, sunrise was probably the cutoff that the Falling Devil had to capture Asa and Yoru for Death, who we knew as Fami at the time, so that Death could turn Asa and Yoru into one of her pawns. So we don't really see much of this fake Saw as well, but the reason why I think that this one could be the same as the one who killed Yuko is because they look like the same human. Well, it's mainly because they have human arms. So let's just get onto with Fake Saw Man's identity. So first, it could be any of the characters I mentioned before, like Haruka and Nanashi. I doubt it's them because they're working with Fami, aka the real Death Devil, while the Fake Saw Man who saved Asa and Denji were clearly going against Death's wishes. People thought this guy could also be Barim. I mean, we haven't seen his hybrid transformation in part 2 yet, and he is working with a Fire Devil who could change people's appearances and stuff. So it could have changed Barim's hybrid form to make it look like Chainsaw Man. But I really doubt it. Not only is the build for these two Fake Saw Man too skinny to be Barim, the only reason people thought it was him because of these quote-unquote suspenders. Which, that was actually just the Falling Devil's blood that was pouring down. Plus, Barim works directly with Death, so I doubt he would go against Death's wishes. Another theory that I've seen that was brought up is that this Fake Saw is the Pochita corpse that was left at the cemetery. I mean, it could make sense as a devil could have taken over its body and made that chainsaw body like a fiend of sorts. But I doubt it again because that Pochita corpse had like the Black Chainsaw Man arms, while this Fake Saw Man has normal human hands. So I don't think that one's true. Anyways, here are some crackhead theories. These are theories I like to throw in because they're crazy, and if they happen, they would be awesome. So the first one is, what if this Fake Saw Man is actually a Denji? A Denji from an alternate universe / time. What do I mean by this? Well, not only did this Fake Saw Man know about Asa and Denji, in the Book of Revelation, the one where the 4 horsemen come from, it is stated that there will be a war between heaven and hell, and after that, a new heaven and earth will form. So, if Fujimoto decided to take more inspiration from Revelation, maybe at the end of Chainsaw Man, the world starts a new cycle and it turns into a loop. And maybe this Fake Saw is from a previous cycle and is trying to stop the constant cycle of birth and rebirth, SMT style if you've played those games. My second crackhead theory is that this Fake Saw is either the real Chainsaw Devil, who took the appearance of Chainsaw Man due to how people on Earth now perceive chainsaws as, with Chainsaw Man being a worldwide phenomenon, or this Fake Saw is actually the Chainsaw Man Devil, a devil formed from the fear of Chainsaw Man. I mean, I'm just trying to cover all my bases. I don't really have any evidence outside of this Fake Saw Man working against Death. Anyways, the more probable option is that this version of Fake Saw has a contract with the Fire Devil. It's pretty self-explanatory. We see that the Fire Devil makes contracts with a lot of people even outside of the Chainsaw Man Church. However, the Fake Saw Man who killed Yuko and the one who fought the Falling Devil appeared before the formation of the Chainsaw Man Church. One reason as to why Fake Saw killed Yuko was because she was running away and the Fire Devil didn't want her around, so that Fake Saw killed Yuko. The other Fake Saw could have worked with Death, which was Fami at the time, but decided to defect when he realized something was up. And that could also explain why he knew about Asa and about the time limit that the Falling Devil had to capture Asa. So now onto the most substantial and recent Fake Saw, the one who first appeared in chapter 196, who actually just became a pawn for the Death Devil. I'll explain that significance later, but we actually know his identity. Well, sorta, as in chapter 197, this Fake Saw looks like he was talking to someone else. Like, he was saying how this other entity always guided him well, and saying "we" one time when he was referring to himself. Plus, he talks about having the Justice Devil inside of him. So if you paid any attention to the story, this is the Justice Devil. And it died, so it's probably in hell right now. But as I said, the Fire Devil pretends to be the Justice Devil, so it's pretty obvious that this fake Chainsaw Man, as Death called him, has a Fire Devil contract. It's completely possible that this is the same one as before, and all that happened was that he got a power boost and a new look. From what we've seen, this guy wasn't working with Death at all. So it leads me to believe that the Fire Devil doesn't know who the real Death Devil is, and was telling Fake Saw that the real Fami was Death. Or maybe the Fire Devil was purposefully misleading Fake Saw so that Death could turn him into a pawn. So maybe this Fake Saw man could be someone from the Chainsaw Man Church, as maybe the reason he got confused that the real Fami wasn't Death, well, aside from the Fire Devil telling him that she was Death, is because that he already knew Fami, aka the real Death Devil. I personally think that he just didn't know about Fami in general, since while Death was the brains of the Chainsaw Man Church, she wasn't the public face since that was Haruka. So this Fake Saw Man is either a Chainsaw Man Church member or just a random person that the Fire Devil made a contract with outside of the church. Or maybe the Fire Devil did this contract behind the Death Devil's back. Anyways, who is the Fire Devil? Well, I won't do it this video since it's a topic for another day. But it's clearly Fumiko, like how my guy Starkey said. Anyways, that's all I got for today. Pretty long video, right? Well, this video was literally just 2 videos in one with some extra facts. Like I said, this is a mix between my very first theory video and my Fake Saw Man video. So, hopefully you enjoyed this video enough to leave a like and subscribe. I'm so close to being able to get monetization with this channel with memberships and stuff, and I'm like 1K watch hours away from full monetization. So thank you guys for supporting me. I mean, I knew I was gonna make it, but you know, I'm serious. I'm seriously grateful for all the support you guys give me. So thanks for watching.